just saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes in IMAX. So I'm going to give my non-spoiler review and then I'm going to talk some spoilers. So first of all, do you need to see this in IMAX? I'd say no. It was really good in IMAX, but there's no expanding IMAX ratio, and I think it'd be better to go to like a theater with Dolby Atmos or Dolby Vision if you can find one of those. Another question that I had is, do you need to see any of the other Planet of the Apes movies? The answer to that is no, but it helps because there's a lot of homages and references, and the very opening of the movie has a really cool like tribute to Caesar from the last trilogy that just barely happened. And I thought that was a really good start to the movie because it's like, hey, remember those last movies? Like, we're respecting those and moving forward. So I liked the Caesar tribute at the beginning. As far as the world building goes, I actually thought it was really cool. There was a part where the apes were going in what looked like a canyon, and I didn't realize till they were climbing up it that it was actually buildings from a big city. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. They're so overgrown that I couldn't even recognize them as buildings for a little bit. But they just like start creaking as they're climbing up it, and I was like, oh, nice. So the world building was so awesome. Just the really, really old, overgrown human stuff. I love seeing that in movies. It's like I Am Legend, but way more overgrown because at the beginning it says it's many generations beyond the last movie. And it did actually have some cool tributes and homages to the original Planet of the Apes movies. The music was really cool. It had like primitive drum sounding music, and then there was normal orchestrated music, and then it just had a lot of really cool callbacks to the Giacchino score, but also like old Planet of the Apes music. So you meet different apes that have interpreted the teachings of Caesar differently, and there's one ape, and this is I think in the preview, but he becomes the friend of our main character Noah, and he has books. And any movie that shows books, like Matilda when she has the little wagon of books, I'm always like, what books are they? And one of the apes has a bunch of books. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to know what those are because they're apparently very important to passing on the teachings of Caesar. So I always try and I couldn't quite read any of the covers, but I'm always looking. So if you read any of the covers, let me know what they are. And for the most part, the special effects and the apes look super real. Like there's a part where one of the main characters is on the ground and there's like ashes in his fur. Like it looked real, like you could touch it. It was pretty incredible. So I'm going to get to spoilers here in just a minute, but last thing before I go to spoilers is, so you see in the preview that there's some primitive humans, right? Like some humans that are getting chased down by the apes. And it was really hard to believe that they were primitive humans because they were just like they were at like a watering hole, right? So they're like drinking water, and then like they hear a noise and they just like stand up like a startled animal, and they just look so doofy. And then when they're running away from the apes chasing them, like the people are running and their arms are straight down to their sides, so they're just like so ridiculous. So it was really hard to believe that the humans were actually primitive because I'm looking at them I'm like, oh, you people were all cast in this movie to act primitive, and I just wasn't buying that they were primitive humans. They looked ridiculous. Okay, last thing before we get into spoilers. So obviously in the previews you see that the apes are chasing down the humans, and there's one part, and I just started laughing out loud on this part. So this human runs right up in front of the camera, and then from off camera, an ape just like takes them out. So it's like a comedy movie where someone just gets taken out right in front of the screen. Like it's like the same move. So anyway, I just started laughing out loud. So I don't know what the people sitting around me thought, but it was funny. Okay, gonna talk some spoilers now. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's your warning. All right, so there's this giant vault at Coronado Bay that they're trying to get into that has all the human secrets in it. And it turns out so I was a little bit worried that she was overpowered because I'm so sick of that in movies lately. But by the end of the movie, it's like, oh, she's totally trained. I don't want to say she's like a commando, but she's absolutely trained and took on the mission to go get the satellite key. Like she had a plan. She was sent. She volunteered maybe. So she's clearly capable. So the Mary Sue worries are not a big deal for this movie. So anyone that says that is totally off base. there comes a time where they're trying to like break apart from Proximus, the bad guy, and like break into the secret vault. And William H. Macy comes around the corner and he like tries to confront her, and he's like, "You better not! Like, you're gonna get in trouble. Like, the Planet of the Apes is now. Like, it's no more human time." And he starts walking away, and she just like jumps on him and chokes him to death with some jujitsu. That was pretty incredible. I know I said that already, but it was kind of a dark turn for the movie because the apes and her were becoming friends, and she like chokes this dude to death, and all the apes are looking at each other like, holy crap, like she's kind of scary. So one cool thing is earlier in the movie when they are at the airport, I guess there's a telescope at the airport. Is that a thing? Anyway, there's a huge telescope, and Noah goes and looks through it, and he's like, whoa, like what's out there, like space, right? Like I don't know stuff. But then May looks through it and she reacts, and then Noah points out to Raka. Noah's like, she looked in there and she reacted. And so I just think, I thought that was a cool seed that they planted, and then I was like, what are they looking at? Come on, show me. And we'll come to that in a second. But when they finally get into the vault, you see some, or after they've been in the vault for a little bit, you see some tanks and Humvees, and I'm just like, yeah, Humvees won't start after they've been sitting for a month. I don't imagine they're going to start after sitting for 200 years. So May breaks in and she takes the SATCOM keys. I was like, oh, they're going to talk to somebody in space, or satellite communication to talk to someone else on the Earth. But I'm thinking space. And so she finally gives the SATCOM keys to the other humans. Just such a diverse group of humans, and a lot of technical savvy female humans. So it has very modern casting in the humans, which is fine. It's just in your face and very obvious. Obviously, it's no big deal. But then they start communicating with people, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to hear another voice. Like, where are you?" And the satellites are turning, and May's sitting there watching the satellite things turn, and she's looking up. She's not just looking at the satellite dishes, she's looking up into the sky. And then at this point, Noah and his girlfriend, apparently he won that love triangle that was going on kind of the whole movie, he's taken her to the telescope to look through it, and they look through it and they're just like, whoa, like what is that? I think they're looking at a space station. This is total speculation, but they don't show you. And I actually think that's pretty cool and clever that they don't show you what they're looking at in the telescope at any point in the movie. So I think it's a space station. Maybe I'm completely wrong, because there's a couple part where you see something on their eye. So maybe I'm supposed to see what that image is. I mean, it looked like a nebula to me, but just on their eye. So I don't know if I'm supposed to could tell the image on their eye, but I think they're looking up at a space station. So I thought it was interesting when May was in the Coronado Bay place, right, the vault, that she didn't take any weapons. So clearly she didn't need it. She had a pistol on her. She didn't need any weapons, but she just took the SATCOM keys. And then there's like a time jump after the main bad guy's defeated by all the eagles and everybody singing together, which is pretty cool. And Noah gets established as the clear leader. And May comes to say goodbye to Noah with a gun behind her back. It's like, what the heck? And Noah's rightly kind of pissed off because she's keeping knowledge from them. She's like, this isn't meant for apes, right? And he's like, do you think humans and apes could live together? And then the camera shows behind her, she's got a pistol behind her back, and she's like, I don't know. And it's like, ha ha. That's pretty sad and untrusting there. Also, was that a real airport in the movie? Like, is that, like, what airport is that portraying? I don't recognize it. So if anyone knows what airport that is, like, definitely let me know. So ultimately, I liked it. I'm a fan of the Planet of the Apes movies. I like the trilogy that just barely happened. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes. I think wrong order, but those three. And then I've also seen and liked the original. I still haven't seen the sequels to the original. I own them, and I'm planning on watching them. So I've just seen the original. And then, of course, the Tim Burton one. So I actually like these movies. And I think if you like these movies, then you'll like this movie. It was kind of slow. And it seemed like a very deliberately paced setup for more movies. By itself, is it good? I think so, even if you haven't seen the other movies. But very deliberately paced setup for more movies. And if they're like this, I'll take it. So I don't know how long it's going to take them to make them all, but hopefully it makes money so there's more, because it seems like they've got an interesting story to keep telling. All right, I liked it. If you've seen it, what'd you think? If you haven't seen it, why did you watch the spoilers that I just said? But let me know what you think of it. Also, I just want to say that I totally called it when Raka died. So they're crossing the bridge, and then I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, this guy's awesome. And I'm like, you know what? He's feeling kind of expendable right now. He's probably gonna die. Yeah, he died like right there. But the reason I died in this is because at the very end credits, you hear the noise that he makes. I can't even begin to imitate it. It's like, no, nope. No, that's not the noise. Anyway, wow, that's really not the noise. What noise is that I made? Not an ape noise. Anyway, you hear the ape noise that Raka makes during the movie at the end credits. So are they saying he's alive? Maybe. It would make sense. He's really good in the movie. All right. Ultimately, it's a good show. Recommend. Not as good as the Caesar ones, but the first one of the Caesar ones was also not the best. So maybe these will grow and become better. It seems like it's set up to have a recurring cast, whereas the other one's kind of the cast cycled through. So I liked it. What'd you think? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.